Be prepared. Tomorrow changes everything, and I'm not talking about some vague spiritual shift or distant cosmic alignment that won't touch your life. I'm talking about a message, a specific, undeniable message that's been fighting its way toward you through delays, confusion, and cosmic fog for months, and tomorrow, March 9th, that message finally breaks through. Most people will miss it entirely. They'll wake up, go through their day, maybe glance at the sky, and never realize they just walked through one of the most fortunate, fate-altering windows of the entire year. But you're here. You're paying attention. And that's not a coincidence. Because here's what's really happening. While everyone else is distracted by the chaos of everyday life, the universe is setting up a perfect geometric alignment between Mercury and Jupiter, the planet of communication meeting the planet of expansion in a frictionless water element trine that only happens when the cosmic conditions are exactly right. And this time, the conditions aren't just right, they're extraordinary. If you've been feeling like you're underwater lately, like you're moving through fog, like clarity has been just out of reach no matter how hard you try to grasp it, keep watching. Because there's one specific reason why this confusion has been building, and tomorrow it all makes sense. I'll explain exactly why later, so stay with me. But first you need to understand something critical. What's happening tomorrow isn't random. It's the culmination of a sequence that's been unfolding since the beginning of this month, systematically breaking you down, clearing you out, and preparing you to receive something massive. And if you don't recognize the pattern, you might mistake this gift for just another ordinary Monday. This isn't just another planetary alignment. Let me be clear, every week brings planetary aspects, trines, squares, conjunctions. They're constantly moving through the sky like clockwork. Most of them come and go without anyone noticing. But this is different. March 9th marks the exact moment when Mercury, the planet of messages and communication, forms a perfect 120-degree angle with Jupiter, the great cosmic benefactor. In astrology, this is called a trine, and it's one of the most harmonious aspects possible. But what makes this particular trine a jackpot isn't just the geometry, it's the context. Think about it. Mercury is currently retrograde, moving backward through Pisces, a sign where it's traditionally weakened. Logic doesn't work here. Linear thinking dissolves. Your rational mind has been struggling because it's being forced to operate in an environment that doesn't speak its language. Meanwhile, Jupiter is positioned at exactly 15 degrees Cancer, the precise degree where this planet reaches its absolute peak of power and dignity. So what does this mean? It means tomorrow your confused, foggy, intuitive mind, the one that's been receiving whispers and hunches and dreams it couldn't quite interpret, suddenly connects with the most powerful source of luck, wisdom, and expansion in the entire zodiac. The static clears, the signal comes through, the message you've been waiting for finally arrives. And here's where it gets even more intense. Jupiter stations direct less than 24 hours later. It's virtually motionless in the sky right now, anchored at that supreme degree of exaltation, burning its benefic energy into that exact point like a cosmic laser. Whatever message, opportunity, or realization arrives tomorrow doesn't just pass through your life like a fleeting thought. It gets locked in. It becomes permanent. It becomes real. The path had to be cleared first. You can't receive a life-changing message if your mind is cluttered with anxiety, control, and the desperate need to micromanage every detail. That's why the universe did something brutal but necessary last week. On March 3rd, a total lunar eclipse ripped through Virgo, the sign of analysis, perfectionism, and mundane worry. And it didn't just pass through, it was conjunct the South Node, which means it was specifically designed to purge, to violently remove, to forcefully clear out. For the past 18 months, maybe longer, you've been carrying something heavy. Maybe it's been an exhausting need to have everything figured out. Maybe it's been the toxic belief that if you just work hard enough, control enough variables, perfect enough details, everything will finally be okay. Maybe it's been the weight of responsibility for things that were never yours to carry. The eclipse took all of that and threw it into darkness. It asked you a terrifying question. What if you didn't need to control everything to feel safe? And for a lot of people, that question felt like the ground collapsing beneath them, because control, for many of us, is the last defense we have against chaos. It's the illusion that keeps us functioning, but it's also a prison, and the eclipse broke the lock. Now, I know that might have been painful. The days following that eclipse probably didn't feel like a gift. They probably felt like loss, like confusion, like everything solid was turning to water. But that's the point. Because the planetary ruler of that Virgo eclipse is Mercury, the same Mercury that's now retrograde in Pisces, swimming backward through boundless oceanic intuition. The eclipse didn't demand that you create a better plan. It demanded that you surrender the plan entirely. It cleared out the mental clutter, the endless to-do lists, the self-criticism, the anxiety, and it created space. Empty, quiet, receptive space. Because tomorrow that space gets filled with something extraordinary. When Mercury burned in the heart of the sun, something critical happened on March 7th that most people completely overlooked. Mercury, still retrograde, passed directly through the center of the sun in what's called a cazimi, a moment of supreme clarity and divine illumination. In ancient astrology, when a planet comes this close to the sun, it's not burned up or weakened. It's sitting in the throne room of the king, protected and infused with pure solar power. For a brief window, Mercury received a massive download of wisdom, insight, and crystalline understanding. But because it's retrograde, this wasn't about new information. It was about suddenly understanding the past. It was that flash of realization where something that's been confusing you for weeks or months suddenly clicks into place, where a piece of information you lost comes back, where a relationship, a decision, a pattern finally makes complete sense. Maybe you experienced this yourself. Maybe on March 7th or the day after you had a moment where something just felt different, where a fog lifted, where you knew something you didn't know before, even though you couldn't explain how. That was the cazimi. That was Mercury gathering the message it's about to deliver to Jupiter tomorrow. And if you missed it consciously, don't worry, your subconscious didn't. It's been processing. It's been integrating. And tomorrow, when Mercury connects with Jupiter, that seed of insight explodes into full bloom. The water element is critical here. Not all trines are created equal. A trine in fire signs brings action, passion, bold new ventures. A trine in earth signs brings tangible results, money, physical manifestation. But this is a water trine, and water operates on an entirely different frequency. Water is emotion, water is intuition, water is the subconscious, the ancestral, the psychic. When Mercury in Pisces connects with Jupiter in Cancer, it's creating a circuit of pure feeling, deep knowing, and soul-level truth. This means the jackpot you receive tomorrow probably won't arrive as a logical conclusion or a business opportunity that makes perfect rational sense. It's going to arrive as a feeling, an undeniable, resonant, full-body knowing that bypasses your analytical mind entirely. Maybe it's the sudden certainty that a relationship you thought was over is actually your soulmate connection. Maybe it's the overwhelming sense that you need to move to a specific city, even though you can't explain why. Maybe it's a creative vision that downloads into your consciousness fully formed, like it's been waiting in your DNA to be unlocked. And here's the beautiful part. You won't need external validation. You won't need to Google it, fact-check it, or ask 3 friends for their opinion. You'll just know. And that knowing will feel like coming home to yourself after years of wandering lost in someone else's map. This is what happens when the 2 most intelligent planets in the zodiac connect through the element of water during a retrograde period, while one of them is exalted and stationary. It's not just information. It's revelation. It's not just an idea, it's faith restored. Tomorrow, everything clicks into place. Let me give you the exact moment, March 9th, 2026 at 1:20 at night. That's when Mercury at 15 degrees Pisces forms the mathematically perfect trine to Jupiter at 15 degrees Cancer. Now, depending on where you are in the world, you might be asleep when this happens, and honestly, that might be even better. Because this energy doesn't need you to be awake and actively manifesting. It's going to work on you regardless. It might come through a dream. It might come through a sudden awakening in the middle of the night with a realization so clear it jolts you upright. It might come the next morning as you're making coffee and your mind wanders to something you haven't thought about in years, and suddenly the answer is obvious. The point is, this isn't an aspect you have to do anything with. This is an aspect that does something to you. The universe has a message for you, and tomorrow it's getting delivered whether you're ready or not. But here's what you need to know. Because Jupiter stations direct just 46 hours later on March 10th, this isn't a fleeting moment of inspiration that fades by Tuesday. This is a foundation. This is a new operating system being installed in your consciousness. This is the universe handing you a key, and that key opens doors you didn't even know existed. If you've been feeling like you're drowning, there's a reason. Remember at the beginning when I said if you've been feeling like you're underwater, there's a specific reason? This is it. Mercury in Pisces, especially retrograde, creates a mental state that feels like swimming through fog. Your thoughts don't land where you expect them to. Conversations feel confusing. Technology malfunctions. Messages get lost. Plans change. Nothing feels solid. And for people who are used to clarity, logic, and linear progression, this has been torture. You've probably been harder on yourself than necessary, thinking you're just scattered or unfocused or somehow failing at basic tasks. But here's the truth. You're not failing. You're adapting. Your consciousness has been learning to operate on a different frequency, one that doesn't rely on the rational mind. And tomorrow, all that struggle pays off. Because the very thing that's been making you feel lost, that oceanic, boundless, intuitive state, is exactly what allows you to receive the message that changes everything. The people who've been rigidly clinging to logic and control through this retrograde, they're going to miss it. They're going to wake up on March 10th wondering why nothing happened. But you've been training for this. You've been dissolving your boundaries. You've been learning to trust what you feel instead of just what you think. And tomorrow, that training becomes your superpower. But Saturn demands you actually do something with it. Now, before you float away into pure cosmic bliss, the universe has one more card to play. On March 8th, literally today as you're watching this, Venus forms an exact conjunction with Saturn in Aries. Venus is what you want, Saturn is what's real, and when they collide, you can't hide behind fantasy anymore. This aspect is happening for a reason. It's the cosmic insurance policy that makes sure the beautiful, expansive, intuitive jackpot you receive tomorrow doesn't just stay in the realm of daydreams and good feelings. Saturn is here to ask you a very direct question. Are you willing to do the work? Because here's the thing about Jupiter transits, especially the lucky ones. They can make you feel like everything's just going to magically work out. Like the universe is going to hand you your dreams on a silver platter while you sit back and wait. But that's not how this works. Saturn won't allow it. Won't. If tomorrow brings you the realization that you need to change careers, Saturn demands you actually update your resume. If tomorrow brings you the certainty that a relationship is meant to be, Saturn demands you have the difficult conversation. If tomorrow brings you a creative vision, Saturn demands you sit down and start creating. The jackpot is real, the message is real, the opportunity is real, but it requires commitment, it requires discipline, it requires you to take the cosmic gift and turn it into something tangible in the physical world. And honestly, that's a good thing. Because dreams without structure dissolve, inspiration without action fades. But when you combine the expansive wisdom of Jupiter with the grounded responsibility of Saturn, you don't just have a vision, you have a legacy. Different signs will receive different messages. Now, I can't tell you exactly what your specific jackpot is going to be because astrology is personal. It depends on where these planets are landing in your individual birth chart. But I can tell you the general themes based on modalities. If you're a mutable sign, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, this transit is hitting you harder than anyone else. You're directly in the line of fire of this eclipse cycle and this retrograde. For you, tomorrow is about rebirth. Something in your identity, your life direction, or your core beliefs is shifting. The message you receive might feel like your entire reality is being rewritten, and it is. Trust it. If you're a cardinal sign, Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, Jupiter's direct station in Cancer is activating your foundational axis. This is about authority and security. The message you receive tomorrow might be about stepping into leadership, claiming your power, or finally feeling safe enough to take a massive risk. For Cancer specifically, this is your moment. You are the protagonist of this entire transit. Whatever you've been quietly building since November is about to explode into visibility. If you're a fixed sign, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, you're in the grand water trine, which means you're receiving the emotional, intuitive benefits without the destabilizing chaos of the eclipses. For you, tomorrow is about strategic advantage. You're being handed insider information, a creative breakthrough, or a sudden influx of abundance that feels like the universe is finally rewarding your patience. The next 48 hours will determine the next 48 weeks. Here's what most people don't understand about astrology. It's not just about one day, it's about activation periods, and tomorrow, March 9th, is the activation. But the energy doesn't peak and then disappear. It builds, it expands, and when Jupiter stations direct on March 10th, it's like the universe pressing enter on everything that was set in motion during the trine. So the message you receive tomorrow, the realization, the opportunity, the person who reaches out, the dream that feels too real to ignore, that's not the whole story. That's the first chapter. Over the next 48 hours, pay attention to who contacts you out of the blue, what ideas won't leave your mind, what fears suddenly feel smaller, what desires suddenly feel urgent, what doors open that were previously locked. Because by March 11th, you're going to look back at this week and realize your entire timeline shifted, and it's not going to be subtle, it's going to be undeniable. Mercury stations direct on March 20th, that's when you act. One more thing you need to know, Mercury doesn't station direct until March 20th. That means even though you're receiving the message tomorrow, you're not necessarily supposed to act on it immediately. This is the retrograde shadow period. This is the integration phase. This is when you sit with what you've learned, let it percolate, and allow the full picture to emerge. If someone from your past reaches out tomorrow, don't assume you need to make a decision by Tuesday. If a business idea downloads into your consciousness, don't rush to launch it by Thursday. If you suddenly know with absolute certainty what your next move is, that's beautiful, but give yourself permission to prepare. Because on March 20th, Mercury stations direct and the cosmic green light officially turns on. That's when the fog fully clears. That's when technology starts working again. That's when contracts can be signed, conversations can be finalized, and plans can be executed without the constant feeling that something's going to fall apart. So tomorrow is about receiving, March 20th is about implementing, and everything in between is about trusting the process. Most people will sleep through this, you won't. Here's what's going to happen tomorrow for most of humanity. They'll wake up, check their phones, scroll through social media, maybe complain about Monday, and go about their lives completely unaware that one of the most cosmically significant days of the year just passed them by. And honestly, that's fine. Not everyone is meant to catch every wave. Not everyone is tuned to the same frequency. But you're different. You're here, you're paying attention, you're spiritually sensitive enough to feel when something's shifting, even if you can't articulate what it is. And that sensitivity isn't a burden, it's a gift. Tomorrow, while everyone else is operating on autopilot, you're going to be in a state of heightened awareness. You're going to notice the synchronicities, you're going to catch the signs, you're going to feel the pull of something bigger moving through your life. And when that message arrives, and it will, you're going to recognize it for what it is, the answer you've been praying for. Maybe it won't look the way you expected, maybe it won't arrive through the channel you thought it would, but it will carry an unmistakable signature of truth. Your body will know, your soul will know, and all the confusion of the past few weeks will suddenly make perfect sense. This is your cosmic reward for trusting the chaos. One last thing before we close. If you've been struggling through this retrograde, if the eclipse knocked you sideways, if the past 2 weeks have felt like a complete unraveling, you've earned this. The universe doesn't put you through purging, clearing, and destabilization just to leave you empty-handed. Every breakdown was preparing you for a breakthrough. Every moment of confusion was teaching you to trust something deeper than logic. And tomorrow, you get to see why it all had to happen the way it did. The delays made space for the right timing. The losses cleared out what wasn't meant to stay. The fog forced you to develop a different kind of vision. And now, with Mercury and Jupiter in perfect alignment, with Jupiter exalted and about to move forward, with the entire cosmos conspiring in your favor, you're about to receive proof that you were being guided all along. So tomorrow, stay open, stay present, trust what you feel, and when that message comes through, whether it's a thought, a conversation, a dream, or a sudden knowing, listen. Because this isn't just good news, this is the news that changes everything. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below, especially if you notice something shifting for you tomorrow. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.